Hello and welcome back. This is part of working through my backlog of videos that I've got, but this is something I made a little while ago. We're going to make some hexagon shaped shelves that tessellate together to store some firewood in. These ones are made out of scaffold boards, and to do it you simply cut them into however long you want one side of your hexagons to be, and you put 23.5 degree angle on it, I think. Can't remember. It was a while ago I did this. But anyway, so I'm not going to make you watch me do all of them, but we're going to do everything once. So I've got my pieces, all 6 sides. I've got a little frame jig thing to hold them all together to make them all even and square and stuff like that. Put some wedges in just to make it extra tight. And we're going to drill some holes before putting the screws in, and then that means that when the screws go in they pull up extra tight. There's no glue, nothing like that, so when they are made there's still a little bit of flexibility in them, so that when you screw them to the wall you can screw them all together and they all look kind of nice and even. And for some reason, the audio on the videos has disappeared. I'm not entirely sure what happened to it. So you're going to have to imagine the noise of drilling and screwing, and maybe not the noise of screwing. Maybe it depends how old you are. So yeah, they're really very simple, very effective. They tessellate together really well, so it's the most efficient use of space and efficient use of materials, which, if you're really interested, is why beehives, honeycombs, are all hexagons, because that's the least amount of wax they can use that tessellates, the shapes tessellate together and provides maximum storage area. So that random fact of the day. So here I'm having a little trouble getting the corners all to line up exactly. The chances are the gauge on the front of the table saw isn't exactly accurate to 1/2 degree. So I'm just using a clamp to pull the sides in a bit to the correct shape. Or at least close, so all the corners look like they join up. And pull that off, and there we go. And there's 5 I did earlier. So they're held onto the wall with little right angle brackets. They're put in a position that when stood in front of it you can't see. So if they're below your eye line, they're on the top of the shelves, and if they're above your eye line, they're on top of the piece of wood rather than on the bottom of the piece of wood. So it's really hard to see the brackets. It kind of gives you a false floating shelf thing to the wall. And because they all tessellate, you don't need as many brackets as you think. You only need like 4 or 5, and then you can just screw all the hexagons together. Also with this, because they're scaffold boards and stuff, you don't have to use them as shelves. You can have them flat on the floor and put a board over the top and have it as a seat. You can have it outside. It'll weather fairly well. I'm using it here because it's pretty robust. I'm literally going to be chucking firewood in here, and I don't really want to have to fanny about with painting or oil or varnish or anything like that that's going to matter if it gets scratched or look really bad. So slightly rough looking scaffold boards is a pretty good way of dealing with it. You can see that the rest of the living room is in somewhat of a state of being done up as well. One important thing to note is most electrical sockets, like the ones underneath the shelves there, have wires that come straight up or straight down, depending on how your electrics are in your house. And when putting the brackets on the wall, try not to drill into it, because it won't end particularly well for you. I put the electrical sockets in the wall, so I know where the wire is. It's on the left, on the left-hand side of that particular shelf. And handily, the gap between the blade and the edge of the table saw is also the right length for me to cut the pieces of wood to put on this shelf. Last few bits of wood. Come on, hurry up. This is the problem with doing voiceovers later. Get impatient at yourself. Anyway, I'm just throwing the last few pieces of wood in here, but if you like these videos, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and ask questions and all the other stuff that people are meant to say at the end of their YouTube videos, and I will hope to see you next time.